I started playing Valorant back in episode 2, act 2, which was in March of 2021. And in my very first act where I played Valorant, I'll be honest with you, I was complete dog shit. But still, somehow, I managed to improve and climb from silver to immortal within my first act ever of trying to play ranked. Now you're probably wondering how. How does one manage to go from almost the lowest rank in the game to almost the highest rank in the game in that short of a time frame? And that is exactly why we are gathering today. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I did to improve that quickly. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you will know how you can improve as well and rank up in no time. The first thing we're going to be talking about is something every single guide YouTuber has talked about before, and that is your mechanics. Yes, I know you hear it every single time you watch a Valorant guide, but it really is that important. If you want to rank up consistently, then yes, you will have to put in time to master your mechanics and get more consistent at them. You really expect to hit the highest ranks in the game without ever taking time to practice and get good at it. Most other guide YouTubers, though, are going to tell you to, aim at head level. There is actually lines on every map that show you where head level is, which I know you guys know. You're not that stupid. You might be a little stupid, but you're not that stupid. I'm here to actually tell you what you can implement in your practice to master your mechanics and be a more confident player. And that way you can take over and match MVP and carry your rank games. Or you go Q Swift play and full try hard and maybe finally impress that e-girl or e-boy that you've always dreamed of having and matching usernames with. I like to put mechanics into 3 categories: aim, movement, and gunfight hygiene. I feel like you all probably know what aim and movement are, and when I say gunfight hygiene, I literally mean how clean you can keep your gunfights, how clean you can clear your angles, and how easy you can make it for yourself to get a kill. Okay, let's start off by talking about your aim. By aim, I don't just mean the raw ability to click on a static dot on a wall. Although raw aim is really important, it is not going to help you push past mid or high elo. At that point in your rank, you're going to need to learn how to take actual gunfights in Valorant. To practice your raw aim though, you can use Kovacs and aim labs, or just shoot at bots in the range, and get really comfortable with moving your mouse to a certain location and get your click timing down as well, managing to shoot when your mouse is actually on the target and not shooting before you've even aimed. We need to understand though that our enemies in Valorant are actually going to shoot back at us and want to kill us. They're also going to be strafing and very inconsistent, and they're going to be in very inconsistent locations where you might not expect them. We need to actually get better at taking fights in Valorant and not just at shooting dots on a wall. What I did to improve my gunfights in Valorant is take as many as possible. How you can do that is you can play very aggressive and ranked and try to get into as many fights as possible. You can play deathmatch or even Q Swift play if you don't like DM, and just try and play aggressive and get into as many fights as you can. Take as many duels. I really could need to put emphasis on that. Take as many duels as possible. Get comfortable and used to taking those duels. And then the more times you take a certain fight, the better you will get at it, and the more confident you'll be in your ability to win a duel. It's almost like noticing the same red flag in every person that you try to get with. You're like, oh, okay, well, seen that one before. It's nothing special. Boom, got that. It's pretty much the same situation. The final thing I have to mention when talking about aiming and your mechanics is crosshair placement. And I know every single mechanics video that you've clicked on is going to talk about crosshair placement, but that is because it is really one of the most important skills you need to learn as a Valorant player. And you might think that you have good crosshair placement, but be honest with yourself. How many times are you actually very disciplined with crosshair placement? Like Prime Ye or like Primi. I dare you to go rewatch one of your VODs and pay attention to where you're placing your crosshair, and I promise you it is not disciplined half the time. In a lot of the fights that you are going to take, your crosshair is not going to be in the optimal spot. And how many times are you really capitalizing on the fact that you have to move as little as possible? How many times does your good crosshair placement actually result in a kill? Or do you just panic when the enemy peeks you and overflick anyway? Until your crosshair placement looks like Prime Ye, you can always still work on it. The way I improved my crosshair placement is by playing DMs and ranked games and really actively focusing on where my crosshair is. Also, every time I hold an angle and I die, I like to clip it and check if I shot too early or too late. That way I know that next time I'm holding that angle, I have to hold it either a little tighter, like Wardell, or a little wider. You will realize that once you actually lock in on crosshair placement and focus on that skill, your kills will become so much easier and you will hit way better clips because of that. The next thing we're going to talk about is movement. With movement, I'm going to be real, you don't really have to reinvent the wheel. Just make sure you're unpredictable with your strafes when taking a gunfight, and make sure you're actually standing still while shooting. I don't know how many times I notice players that are consistently run and gunning still in Immortal lobbies, by the way. In order to combat this, what I did is I went to my settings and turned on my shooting error graph. And then every time I died, I looked in the top right of my screen and I checked if it was blue or orange. If the graph is blue, it means I was walking while I was shooting. If it's orange, it means that I was standing still. That way, I realized that I was actually still very, very inconsistent with my movement, and I kept run and gunning by accident. In order to practice your movement, again, it is really good to isolate that weakness in a DM and really focus on your strafes and when you strafe and if you try to dodge your enemy's bullets while you're taking that gunfight. And then over time, it'll become muscle memory and you'll start doing it in comp as well. The third and final thing we're talking about when it comes to mechanics is your gunfight hygiene. When I say gunfight hygiene, what I mean by that is how clean you can take a gunfight. Your ability to lock in and make the fight as easy as possible. It also ties into game sense a little bit, knowing when it's good to take a fight and how to take that fight. Is it good to trace the angle in this scenario because you have angle advantage? Or is it good to peek that angle because you're at an angle disadvantage and you need to try and be as fast as possible? Things like this are very important and are neglected a lot while playing because you go into this autopilot monkey brain mode where you just peek everything and you don't even think about how you're going to take a gunfight. And then you just instantly resort to crouch spraying and having the nastiest fucking whiff of your entire Valorant career, which, let's be honest, we don't want to happen again. In order to combat this, I dare you to watch one of your VODs and look at how often your gunfights look very clean. And you will probably notice one or two mistakes that you make consistently within one ranked game. And then you try to isolate that weakness and you will start looking like prime 10s up in here. And maybe you'll get a girlfriend like Kaide, who knows? If you made it to this part of the video, I just wanted to say thank you very much, bro. Thank you personally. Being a YouTuber has always been a dream of mine, and I'm so glad I get to make content for you guys, and I hope that you guys learn something from these videos. Hey, maybe consider leaving a like or even subscribing to the channel so you don't miss future uploads. Enjoy. The next thing we're going to talk about is your util usage. It might be possible to climb to Ascendant or Diamond with just having good aim, but if you really want to make it as a player, or maybe if you don't have the best aim and still want to make it to a high rank, you need to learn how and when to use your abilities. If you play characters that could use a lineup or two to actually make a difference in a video game, then don't be too lazy to go and learn those lineups. It is not cringe to want to be good. It is not cringe to want to be the best player you can be. Don't be discouraged by people telling you, oh, you're a lineup loser. Yeah, I am. And guess what? I'm higher ranked than you dog shit player. You know what I mean? Don't let anybody discourage you. Learn the lineups if you do need to learn them for your agent. And besides that, make sure you watch streamers that play the character that you want to get better at. Look at how they use their abilities and think, please do this, really think about why they use their ability. Don't just go, oh, he boombotted there. Yeah, he did, but why did he use it there? Why did he use that exact ability in that scenario? And then if you understand why he did it, maybe you can put it into practice in your games and in other scenarios in your games, and you will become a so much better player because of that. The one thing I can say though is try to watch players that are from your region, because playstyles do vary a lot from region to region. Me personally, I like watching European VODs because I'm actually from Switzerland, which is a small ass country with a lot of mountains and chocolate and cheese. But yeah, if you're from Asia or you're from America, try to watch streamers from your respective region so you can actually implement it into your region as well. The final thing we're going to talk about when it comes to improving at Valorant is Gamesense. And I hate to break it to you, bro, but Gamesense is one of those things that you really can't just magically get good at. There is no magical formula that'll make you a big brain main that can just instantly outsmart every opponent. What really does help is playing ranked a lot and getting used to the environment of ranked and getting used to all the plays that people tend to make and then playing off of that. Something I like to do a lot in my games is reading my enemy. It helps me get into the zone and it helps me stay focused and not autopilot, and it also helps me practice my game sense, because if my reads are off, I can think about, oh, why did they not do what I thought they were going to do? Why did they choose to do this instead? In Valorant, something that can really help with reading your enemies is looking at their ultimate economy, or looking at their economy in general. If you're playing Bind and the enemy Brimstone has ult, it is very likely he's going to run down A and ult U-Haul. It is just very likely he's going to do that. That is a part of game sense. Same scenario, if you're playing Bind and the enemy Raze has ult, it's more likely that they're going to go B and Raze is going to ult out Hookah. Little things like this go a long way, and on every map, you can make little predictions like this to try and get 1 or 2 rounds in your favor, and maybe those 11 to 13 losses can turn into 13 to 11 wins. When it comes to you as a player specifically, the only way to really get better at Gamesense is by, you know, watching your own gameplay. And unfortunately, most of you that are watching this right now are going to be too lazy to actually go record a video of themselves playing, watching themselves play, and actually taking notes on their mistakes. The few of you that will have the balls and the guts to do this are the ones that are actually going to make it. If you don't have the dedication to rewatch one of your games and take notes on what you did wrong and try and practice your game sense like that, then you can't expect to become one of the best in the region. That is just the harsh reality of how ranked works. Whoever decides to work harder is going to be the person that gets higher at the end of the day. You are already one step closer though to being better than your opponent because you're taking time out of your day to watch educational content like this and get better at the game while you're not playing. VOD reviewing is just that one step higher than most people are willing to take. Again, it took me an entire act of hardcore grinding this game, playing a lot of unrated, playing a lot of DM, playing a lot of ranked with my friends, and learning off of them to make it to Immortal, but I did make it. And I know that each and every single one of you watching can do that too. I truly believe that literally anybody can become really good at Valorant with the right amount of practice and with proper practice. If you learned something new or had a good laugh when you were watching this video, please consider liking and subscribing because it really helps my channel grow and I really want to try to make this dream a reality. Anyways, make sure you do your homework. Peace.